Hit live on that button.
Wow, that's a nod to the one person who knew who I was before this show.
That
Which
listener.
was you. Which was you.
Thanks, listener.
Wait a second. The one guy who listened to my podcast, I do a show with now.
Hey, yeah, that's 100% on retaining. A couple of weeks ago, I did top 5 reasons ska never took off as a genre.
Right. Yeah.
And I was thinking about you the whole time.
Yeah. Were you thinking of me, 14, fat, chubby, Mike Parsons, who, I wanted something catchy, but I still wanted something for the lols?
Yes, I was.
What were those 5 reasons? I don't remember, but I remember feeling like you wrote that for me.
I think one of the answers was fedoras.
Okay, right. Fedora, and fedoras have obviously taken on a new meaning.
Yeah, I need to. I would have to go back. I do a fucking top 5 tiebreakers. Did you read that one? That one was good.
I think Coinfoot, was that in honor of the Iowa primary where Hillary Clinton had.
Number 2 is whose dad is stronger, which is a good one.
Sure, and it's always your dad, not like your dad, Fred. Like
no, I mean it's my dad's stronger. So
no, I mean like my dad's strong, but everyone's dad's the strongest dad.
Yeah, I mean my dad's the strongest dad, but then like everyone else's dad is like the strongest.
Well, your dad's second strongest dad because my dad's actually the strongest dad.
Right. We know whose dad's the strongest. So they top 5 things I found multiples of while cleaning my truck. I've been dialed in on these.
Hey, whoever's dad is The Rock, he's actually the strongest dad, if we're being honest.
The Rock, yeah, I think The Rock is maybe his fiance is with child.
I think he has some kids from a past marriage. I'm like a total celebrity gossip hound when it comes to The Rock. And I know that The Rock, him and his ex-wife get along very well. In fact, she's his business manager, and she gets along well with The Rock's new wife. So it's not a conventional family, Fred, but that doesn't mean it's not functional.
Well, and that's the thing about The Rock. Even the people who hate him, they love him.
Right. I mean, I'm still weirded out that he eats so much cod. But, Chosen Newton, his dad's the strongest dad right now.
Okay, touche.
Yeah, I would say that. Hey, you want to start the show?
Yeah.
All right. You're bringing us in, right?
Yeah, I'll be a leader.
Okay, here we go. Oh, all right. And you know what? I'm gonna stick to the clock this time. I'm not gonna surprise you. I'm saying we'll do 2 9-minute segments, and I said, screw it, we'll just do a one long 18-minute segment.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, here we go.
You're listening to The Weigh-In with Mike Parsons.
What are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
And Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weightinradio.com.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. Let me hit the one with the bed. Hold on. Okay, take 2.
Right. We'll just start over.
You're listening to The Weigh-In with Mike Parsons.
What are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
And Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weightinradio.com.
Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie theater. Interior crocodile.
Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Listen to The Weigh-In. I, of course, am Fred Slow. Alongside me, my PIC, my partner in crime, Mike Parsons.
No, I'm not, Fred, because you're going to get sued for saying the SB.
Yeah, hey, it's game day.
It's the big game day. So anything Fred Slow says on today's show is not co-signed by Mike Parsons.
I tell you what, my favorite. It's a national holiday here. You can go get your friends and your family and your lazy boy together because we're watching football. 'Tis evening. Lady Gaga is gonna kick it off with the national anthem, and then it'll be nonstop football action.
And to all you people in management out there, don't expect anything from your employees tomorrow. Okay?
You have to go tomorrow?
I do, yeah. But you know what? You're lucky your staff even shows up on Super Bowl Monday, or as I say, on the second day of Super Bowl. So take it easy on them and don't really get on them until Wednesday. You might even want to wait till the next Monday after, just to make sure they get it out of their system.
I like the idea of skipping work the day after a holiday or the Super Bowl And I like it because people don't really know. Did he go too hard? He's leaving it up for question. Did he schedule it ahead of time? Is he that smart? I like to keep them on their toes.
Right. Is he having a hard time getting out of bed because he was about to win a whole bunch of money on Super Bowl squares, and there was a meaningless field goal kicked at the end of the quarter?
Is he hanging in a closet somewhere? We don't know.
Right. We'll find out tomorrow, unless he's not there, and we'll still continue to wonder until we read the obit.
This will be the first Super Bowl for me, Mike, where since I was 22, so 9 years, where I am going to, because I'm straight edge now, Mike, I'm going to go the Super Bowl without enjoying a single Mondo.
Right. And usually people stop using the word straight edge when they turn 17. But I understand that you're trying to live a more healthy lifestyle. So I do applaud that, smarmy jokes aside.
Yeah, I like to indulge, and I like to do it in a way that most people do who use a good time. So I've given that up. So this Sunday, and obviously with the Rams leaving it, I'm having a hard time getting hyped, Mike. I'm not as up for the big game as I would have been in the past because I know I'm not putting that delicious Bud Light Platinum to my lips.
Now, do you feel that you said you abuse a good time? Was that said intentional? Was that some code? Did you say to yourself, all right, I need to slow this down, or is it just something that you think you could do to lose a little bit of weight because beer has a lot of calories?
There's two things, two rules, right? Two credos I live by. One, I always return a call. Two, I never turn down a free drink. So now, in an effort to avoid number two, because I don't want to break my own credo, I've been avoiding like my local watering hole. I've been avoiding these situations all year because I've been so far, however far we are into the year, I've been that long without a drink at any sort of capacity, social or private or whatever. So last night I went into the local watering hole, which is just walking distance from my house. And it was like I was a returning hero, Mike, when I entered the door.
Well, they're obviously big fans of the show.
Well, and hold on, let me get to that. Because I walk into the door, it was as if I had gone to war and they didn't know if I was going to make it back. It was like a World War II scenario, and they thought maybe I had been lost in the trenches in Germany. But when I came back, you could feel the top come off the place. It was an amazing. It was the high and the attention that I need, and specifically needed then.
Well, do you think that perhaps you could replace the buzz and the high you got off of alcohol with the high and buzz that you get with cheap attention?
Yeah, hard yes. And I'm going to pursue it. I'm going to create a really bad stand-up routine. You're going to see me downtown because I need it, Mike, and I didn't realize it until last night. I walk into the Franchise Bar and Grill, which is the local bar and grill here in town. And the bartender's there, and she shakes my hand, and she's happy to see me, and her little wait staff, and then half the guys at the bar and half the room. And I'm just having some wings, Mike. They only cost $0.25. I can afford a couple of them. If I can eat $0.25, I'd eat that. As I'm sitting there, guys come up, they start telling me stories I haven't heard in a month. Then some guys go, hey, heard you at the ambush game. Tough loss against Chicago. I say, yeah, man, that's rough. Hey, been listening to the weigh-in every week. Love it. You're pretty good. That Mike Parsons, he's even better. I think, thanks, man. Because you don't hear it. When you daily interact with your friends and your family, they don't give you that kind of, let me start over. They don't feed that demon that I have inside of me that craves attention because they like to let me suffer.
Right, because they see you all the time. So it's not special seeing you, but if you know what, Fred, maybe you need to leave your wife for a month, and then you come home, and maybe then she'll appreciate you.
I had an aha moment. Maybe it wasn't that I was thirsty all the time, Mike, for drinks. I was thirsty for attention. And last night I got a little taste of that attention. So it's going to be tough for me to stay in today and watch that big game on my, I have a pretty big TV, but it's going to be tough not to keep my, my biggie. I got a lot of jokes. I want to be out telling them.
Well, Fred, I mean, okay, what would the ramifications be if you got rid of your second credo, never turn down a free drink, and you just go to the place and say, hey, look, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm here for the friendship and the camaraderie and the 25-cent chicken wings.
Yeah, I could, if you wanted, I could live the coward's life, but I'm not going to do that, Mike. Fred,
no, you know what? It takes bravery. looking a free drink in the face and saying thanks but no thanks.
The bravest moment I've had in a long time was last night when I walked in the Franchise Bar and Grill, and I said, "Hey, Amy, pour me a Shirley Temple." And no one laughed in my face, Mike, and I earned that.
See, and you know what? They were just happy to have you there.
And they were, and like I said, and I'm very blessed in that I have a wife that is understanding and tolerant. But what she absolutely not is like interested or caring, because everything I say just is like water off a duck's back.
Well, you know what? You're right, Fred. My wife never listens to my podcast. Do you know why? Because she hears it in her everyday life. So she doesn't need to listen to me yammer into a microphone for a couple hours a week, because every other hour of the week she gets it, except it's not 1 hour, it's multiple hours. It's like reading a 1,000-page rough draft when there's only about 3 pages of decent material.
I want to walk up to my friends and my family and my loved ones. I want to say, "Hey, here's why the Panthers will win." And as soon as I start that sentence, they say, "Oh, I got to not listen."
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, Fred, if I lend you some money that you don't have to pay back, will you just leave me alone?
That is the deal. So like I said, it's good to get out. It's good to be a part of that, and especially on a Super Bowl Sunday when everyone's able to bring so many people together into their home. So I think that's the question, right? How do you, Mike? How do you enjoy your Super Bowls? Are you the big socializer? Do you find the pay tab at an establishment? Do you go to the BBW and enjoy it? Are you the introvert? Are you the house party? Have everyone? Are you a third option I haven't even thought of?
Well, Fred, usually when I'm invited to a Super Bowl party, it's usually I know the host and one other people. I usually know the host and maybe 1 or 2 other people, and then I don't know everyone else. So I walk in, say hi, maybe grab a party sub, watch a couple quarters, and then I would probably end the night at my place. I prefer to just watch it at my place, and because I love watching sports with my wife. Because I don't know if this happens with you, Fred, but they say through the mouth of babes, like they'll make a very astute observation,
right?
Like one time my buddy's wife was talking about the NFL draft, and she said, "Wait, so they're not even playing? They're just picking what teams they're going to be on, and people are watching this." Like, you get that kind of wisdom watching sports with your wife that doesn't care about sports. I actually had my wife pick my fantasy football team one year, and I wrote about it because it was hilarious. Like RG3, she picked him because she liked his Superman socks at the Heisman ceremony. So, usually I'm kind of a loner, Fred. I have a group of friends. They don't really like sports, and then I kind of have like little islands of friends here and there, but never a big cohesive group. So if I do get invited to a Super Bowl party, I'm more of a pop-in.
I understand where you're going. I think the little bit of a difference I have than that is I like a house party. It can be my own house. My wife makes excellent hors d'oeuvres. I could be at a friend's house, and that's perfectly fine. The thing that I have to have, though, and if it's my wife or if it's whoever I'm interacting with, I have to have that aha moment. I have to have that thing that I predicted that I was right. So the stat, and this I talked about out the air, the stat I've been writing all year is Carolina has 31 straight games with 100 rush yards. Well, I've been saying Denver's going to shut that down. They're going to break that streak, and they're going to win the game. And then whenever it happens at the end, I need to be able to look everyone in the eye, and they know how right I was.
Right, exactly. There's nothing more satisfying than making a prediction that comes true. Well, because you look like a genius. You look like you have such high expertise on a topic that you can tell people what's going to happen before it happens.
Well, and a little bit the other side of that coin, because I feel like the Super Bowl is a situation where you cannot leave, right? You have to watch the game, and you have to watch everything that's not the game because it's a spectacle. And I need to, for this product here, for the weigh-in and for whatever else we're doing, I need to have full attention to it. It's hard for me to laugh at my friends' kids that are running around on the floor. Like, I can't do that. I need to be focused on old Cammy Newton.
Well, and if there is a time for you to leave a party or for you to go to your second party, it's definitely halftime, especially this year with Coldplay playing, which to me, they're the most boring band on earth. They are the perfect band to play halftime of the Super Bowl because that's the time you go to the bathroom. And I could take a good long you-know-what during a Coldplay set.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about Chris Martin, except that I don't think he's any good.
I mean, he's proficient in singing and playing guitar. He's just not proficient in making songs that don't sound like you're at a funeral.
I would like to play contrarian because I feel like it's better radio, but I think it's almost universally accepted that Coldplay is unarguably the worst Super Bowl halftime selection humanly possible.
Right. It's easy to make Nickelback jokes. Nickelback is the hot band to hate, but really, let's be honest. Coldplay is much more tedious to listen to than Nickelback.
The only thing worse than liking Coldplay is listening to Coldplay.
Right. I mean, I would actually rather watch Coldplay on mute and, maybe turn the sound back on when Beyonce comes out because they're bringing Beyonce because they know that Coldplay is going to be boring the living daylights out of everyone come halftime, and somebody's got to wake the crowd up for the second half.
My favorite are the collaborations, the halftime show collaborations that transition from like artist to artist, and I like them whenever they span like multi generations and multi genres. I really enjoy a story to be told on stage, right? Yeah. So, and I always go back to the one that ruined it all, the MTV produced ones, the one with Nelly and Justin Timberlake. That one for me was prime for my age group. Red Hot Chili Peppers I thought were weak a couple of years ago. If we were to come up with a list of like the best 10 Super Bowl shows of all time, or excuse me, Super Bowl halftime shows, and Coldplay has not played yet. They don't play till tonight, but I assure you they're going to be the last of the 50 halftime shows because they're that terrible.
Right. They're going to be worse than Elvis Presto, the Elvis impersonator that they had play one of the earlier Super Bowls.
I don't know if that's real, but yes, they're going to be considerably worse than him. And I will do my absolute best to make sure that is true.
You know what my favorite type of Super Bowl halftime shows are, Fred? They're the ones where a nipple accidentally falls out. Those are my favorite halftime shows.
When Missy Elliott came out last year, and I had to explain to our 2 years ago, when Missy Elliott came out 2 years ago, and I had to explain to my 10-year-old nephew who Missy Elliott was, I said, this is the halftime show for me.
It's the weigh-in. Weightinradio.com, 590 The Fan, and 590thefan.com. I almost put it throughout peoplehatemypodcast.com. All right. Okay. That went about 14, so we'll shoot. Yeah, good job on that. Let's see. I had something else I was going to say about halftime shows, but it wasn't important, so I just went. Okay, I'll bring us in. I'll bring us into this one. All right.
Yeah. What are we doing?
I want to talk about why I think the Lingerie Bowl never took off, and then I want to talk about National Signing Day.
Works for me.
All right, here we go.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
These guys are like bad stand-up comics that you can't heckle.
Weightinradio.com.
All right, just so everybody knows, Fred delivered an edict last week banning me from any Puppy Bowl jokes. He never said anything about astute analysis, but every year, and Fred, maybe it is played out where every year I make a stupid joke like I only watch the Puppy Bowl for the commercials, but you can't deny that the Puppy Bowl has done something the Lingerie Bowl never could, and that was become a formidable sideshow on Super Bowl Sunday.
The Lingerie Bowl, or now the Legends Bowl, I think is what it's being called. It features a game of full contact American football with female athletes playing in only lingerie.
Wait, the Lingerie Bowl's still around in some incarnation?
Yeah, well, the Lingerie Football League is now the Legends Football League.
Oh, is that still on? Is that still on pay-per-view? Because I remember you used to be able to order it on pay-per-view during halftime.
Well, I think originally it was, but now I think it's like an actual thing now.
Huh. Well, I still feel like it failed to capture the nation's imagination, such as your Puppy Bowls, such as even your Bud Bowls. People were more pumped about the Bud Bowl than the Lingerie Bowl. Now, when you think of the idea and the reasoning behind the Lingerie Bowl, it makes sense, right? Guys love football. Guys like scantily clad hot chicks, but together it just doesn't work. It's almost it works about as well as having football players wearing lingerie. It appeals to our ids in two totally opposite ways.
Yeah, I'm following you, but you're gonna have to hold my hand. Keep going.
Well, I mean, Fred, I'm sure that that every man out there, he enjoys internet videos for more mature audiences. He enjoys eating, but you're not going to be eating while you're watching Brazzers. It's just
it's classic George Costanza. Yeah, that's the situation you don't want to be in. I see what you're saying. The problem with the Lingerie Bowl is not the product on the field; it was the placement. You can't put anything up against the most important concert performance of the year and expect that thing to do anything. The Lingerie Bowl, which I think now it's played in like August or something, it has nothing to do with the football game. Yeah, I think people probably tune into that. It probably does really well on Spike for the kind of viewers Spike can get, and it's fine. I don't watch it regularly. I don't have any sort of interest in it. But I mean, if I was flipping or whatever, maybe I leave it on. But I'm not trying to like enjoy it.
Yeah, like I don't know. Is the intention behind the Lingerie Bowl to like get turned on while watching football? Because that seems like it could become very Pavlovian and leave a lot of people very confused about their sexuality. The
thing that's a little confused. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, when you watch football, you want to watch it for the athleticism, the speed, the oftentimes brutality of the game. When you want to, when you're looking at scantily clad women in lingerie, you want to see, a beautiful woman. And let's not even talk about how like the shoulder pads like cover up everything. So pretty much all you're doing is you're watching football with no pants. But that's about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like the violent instinct with the romantic instinct within men, and they just don't jive together.
If I was going to create a lingerie bowl, I don't think the actual game even has to exist. I think it's just a bracket style tournament where you face off chicks like theoretically against each other and choose winners, right?
Like what? Who's the hottest chick?
Yeah, right. That would be like my concept of it. That would be like you show up once a week and you vote, or I don't know. I don't know how you get a voting privilege in this. I haven't put any real thought into it.
Yeah,
but yeah, that to me, any sort of competition, because you can put any word in front of the word bowl, right? You can have, I don't know,
the weigh-in bowl.
You can't put like salad. Don't put the word salad in front of there.
No, you don't win any friends with salad.
No, you can't win friends with salad.
No.
But lingerie bowl is not for me as an actual thing, but is absolutely for me as like a theoretical competition of hotness.
Right. Well, you think about it. You say lingerie bowl. It sounds awesome. Then you turn it on, and it's just terrible football. Played by women who are fully covered by pads, which they should be, Fred, because safety first. But it's something that it sounds good in theory, but it's one of those things that it just doesn't translate to reality.
I think everyone deserves an opportunity, and everyone should be allowed to pursue their dreams. And if your dream is to make it to the highest level of competition in a lingerie-based competitive sport, the Lingerie Bowl, I mean, is maybe for you.
Well, I'm not saying it shouldn't exist. I'm just telling you why it doesn't work as a product. That's all.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying Those who want to compete are allowed to compete, and those who want to enjoy it secretly and not admit it on their radio show are allowed to do that. Me.
Wait, so how many lingerie bowls have you watched? How much money have you spent? When was the last time it was offered up on pay-per-view?
I do not know for certain. But I feel like it exists now, man. I'm telling you, I think I've seen it like on Mark Cuban's like Access TV.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. But like I said, I think that the Puppy Bowl has usurped the lingerie bowl in the national consciousness when it comes to a sideshow for the big game. Well, no, okay, it goes the game, then it goes the commercials. No, it goes the commercials, then the game, then halftime show, then the Puppy Bowl, then court-ordered community service, going to church all day, and then way at the bottom is the lingerie bowl.
Listen, BuzzFeed, I don't need your list on the importance of the lingerie bowl.
Oh, who's talking about lists?
The transition we were trying to make was about Mark Cuban and Access TV and how he just bought a pro indoor soccer team in the futsal league, and now indoor soccer is going to go through the roof for my blossoming radio career, Mike. That's the importance.
Well, congratulations. You'll get paid, and you could probably buy the entire lingerie bowl DVD set and live happily ever after.
Hey, that's when lingerie bowl works, when it's the actual halftime show at a football game.
See, now they need to put you. Mark Cuban needs to put you in charge of this league.
I could do it. I could save it.
Yeah, I think so.
You buy tickets. That's how you get people into like the worst football teams in the country. You want to watch the Rams play the Lions? Yeah, you can do that because at halftime, lingerie.
Yeah. So every week would be a lingerie bowl.
Yeah. Well, no, it would be 8 times. Well, how many teams are there? 6. So 16 times a week, it would be like 16 different lingerie bowls.
But in all seriousness, Fred, what do you think? What do you think Mark Cuban's involvement in pro soccer will do for the sport itself? Because I mean, there's been many times that soccer has been marketed here in the United States, and it seems like it spikes a little bit if one of the U.S. teams does well, but then it seems to kind of go away because let's be honest. The national game isn't really baseball anymore. It's football. And talking about, why football works just a few seconds ago, it seems like that's kind of diametrically opposite of what soccer is.
Well, futsal is a little different than soccer, right? So soccer, you have, 11 players aside and use the 5-ball, and there's only 3 substitutions, blah, blah, blah. Futsal, it's the 4-ball, which is like 30% like less bounce, 5 players, and unlimited substitution. So your guys go really hard for a minute and a half, and then they come off. So it's a different game. It's more accustomed to like a hockey or a basketball. It moves at that kind of pace. With that said, all foot athletics are on the rise. All those kind of sports are growing, and it's across the board. And I know there's a little bit of turbulence right now with the women's national team in United States Olympic soccer, but it's like even bad press is good press right now. And Mark Cuban, like buying a futsal franchise, is probably a little damaging to the league in a sense that the guys that are competing against Mark Cuban, they don't have the kind of bankroll that Mark Cuban has. And that's in any business he gets into. So does he have a chance to come in and get the best players and do? Yeah, maybe. But for the betterment of the league, if they were to work under like a structured salary cap system, like a competitive fairness, I think his his marqueeness, his branding is going to be premier because, like I said, with Access TV, it's going to give that league an opportunity to hit and find a lot of fans. And I'm a member of the St. Louis Ambush I broadcast for, are a member of the Major Arena Soccer League, which is very similar to futsal. And hopefully, we can build a hybrid style game to where all these teams can be very successful.
Well, and if the league were smart, they would. I wouldn't say they would give Cuban a full-time job in the league office, but they would definitely bring him in for counsel. And Mark Cuban's a very smart guy, obviously, right? Self-made billionaire. But you know what really sold me on Cuban? And this took years because, God, I don't know. What was it? Maybe I read something years and years ago. where they asked him, okay, so Mark, what's the next big thing on the internet? What's the next big craze going to be? And he said, user generated content. And I had no idea what that meant. I mean, I couldn't even picture what that, because this was the days of where, you had you had to work in an ivory tower. It seemed like you had to have a master's degree in web design in order to build a website. This was back when online, what you'd be doing, you'd be consuming stuff that other people have written.
Right.
And that however many years later, maybe 2-3 years later, after reading that, Facebook came on the scene and Twitter came on the scene. And then I'm like, oh, this is user-generated content. Everybody has their own platform. It's very user-friendly. And now everyone's the star of their own internet movie. And Cuban called that. So if he sees something with this league, he might be onto something.
Well, a million years ago, we called it with HDNet, right? He knew ahead of time the way to get ahead is just to give a superior product. And now, with open sources and different sort of free softwares and interactive, Facebook, but for user-generated content, we're going to call that like blogs and wikis and forums and posts and chats and tweets and podcasts and pins and all these kind of things are user-generated content, right? It's created by a consumer, which could be yourself, and you're then in turn going to consume that same sort of product. With that said, he doesn't miss a lot, right? Mark Cuban. So if he is suggesting that something's going to take off, he not only is going to have an effort in making that thing take off, but he's going to be pinnacle. So with HDTV, for instance, HDNet, he was able to sell that, and that's where his fortune kicked off. And then from there, he gets in early on every single thing, and he understands the tech trend. And it's why I got in the game. It's why you got in the game. It's able to share your voice and opinion and purpose, with a listener in a simplistic way, because that's important to these sort of consumers. You want to have a product that you can listen to easily, and then you can easily share it.
Right. It's easily accessible.
Yeah.
Because the more steps people have to go through to get to your product, the more they're going to just lose interest. And I mean, it's almost like, with what we're doing here, Fred, after this airs on 590, it's going to go up on our website and people are going to have the chance to download it. It feels like sometimes if I could, I would go around to every cell phone user, take the cell phone out of their hand, go to our website, hit play, and hand it back to them. Make it that simple for them, because even clicking one extra link might take away 50% of your audience.
We're not trying to break down the fourth wall, but there's you want to keep people's hand on the mouse. That's kind of like a terminology in business, right? So you don't want anyone's hand you don't want people to have to enter their information. You don't want people to have to register. You would just want to have that ease of access.
Right.
And yeah, it's the same idea. And if you do listen to The Weigh-In and you're catching on 590 The Fan, or you're catching on Pendulum, or wherever you're catching it, The Weigh-In is on iTunes. The Weigh-In is on Stitcher. The Weigh-In is available for you in a lot of different places. So the way you want to access our programming is up to you. And I think that's key with user-generated content. And then that mindset, I think, is key with Mark Cuban. If he wants to make indoor soccer the next big thing, he sure as heck is going to do it. And he's going to do it semi-effortlessly.
Yeah. I mean, no one was watching Shark Tank until Mark Cuban came along.
Love Shark Tank.
We got to take a break. It is The Weigh-In, 590 The Fan, 590thefan.com, weighinradio.com, caveradiobroadcasting.com, pendulumpodcast.com. There we go. Yeah, sorry if I transitioned a bit abruptly, but I was like, well, we're kind of beating this lingerie bowl thing.
No, I agree.
Yeah, so. Well, let's talk about National Signing Day here. We'll just get right into it so we don't get sidetracked. Does that work for you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Do you want to bring us back?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
Thank you so much for saying what needed to be said.
Weighinradio.com.
It's still real to me, damn it.
First of all, I'd like to thank my family I like to thank my coaches. I like to thank my Lord and Savior. Because I, Fred Slow, I'm going to take my talents to Tennessee.
Fred, now let me ask you.
Yes, Mike. Yeah,
you're in Big 12 country, right? With Missouri.
No, SEC, but yes.
Oh, what did I say?
Big 12.
Oh,
you were a couple years ago.
Yeah, well, so because I was thinking I'm in Big 10. So you're in SEC country. I'm in Big 10 country. Number one, is National Signing Day as big of a religion in your neck of the woods as it is in mine?
Well, this is baseball country here, so pitchers and catchers report in like a week. So everyone's pretty much sweating that right now.
Yeah.
If I were to go down the block to the local watering hole that we talked about earlier, I say, hey, how about that? Hey, Florida State, right? Number 1 recruiting class. And people would be like, do they even rank that? I didn't know. I don't.
Well, in Big 10 country, Fred, National Signing Day has become a spectacle. And although I'm not a huge fan of it, I've got to say, really, to me, these freshmen coming in, I don't care. I mean, I care to an extent because eventually they will be sophomores and juniors and seniors, and they'll be out on the field. But to me, there's just too many high schools out there for me to keep track of who's been good since freshman year, what 14-year-olds coming up, and who they ultimately sign with. And
and I agree, and I think kind of as a overwhelming opinion, specifically in the NFL. NFL guys do not care about National Signing Day. They do not care who the number 1 high school recruit is. Well, except for obviously Julio Jones, who was the number 1 high school recruit, is now the best wide receiver on the planet.
Well, one of them. But yeah, and it seems like I remember like 5-10 years ago, Fred, when I'm watching ESPN on National Signing Day, and there's a kid with a full television crew in front of him, and he's got like 4 hats in front of him, and it's a big TV event to see which hat this 18-year-old kid is going to put on. And back then, I thought it was overkill. 10 years later, it's out of control. But the fact of the matter is, whether you like it or not, it's necessary now. It's necessary to go over the top because the bar has been raised so much that you have to go all Harbaugh. You see what Jim Harbaugh did with Michigan's National Signing Day?
No, I didn't see it, Mike. What happened?
Well, I don't know if this was an event to promote Michigan or if it was an event to promote the Players Tribune, because they were live streaming this. But number one, you heard all about Jim Harbaugh's antics. There was this kicker that he wanted to recruit, so he showed up at his house at 12:01 on the day that you're allowed to speak to recruits. He spent the night at his house. He went to classes with them. Yeah. It was
awful.
Yeah, it was really weird. He said, I'll show up at 12:01. We'll watch a movie. I'll sleep on your floor, and I'll go to classes with you. And this kid's parents said, yeah, Jim Harbaugh, come on over. And then, he climbed a tree. He went to some other recruit's place, and he climbed a tree because his little sister dared him to, or whatever. And that was just the beginning of the weirdness, because on National Signing Day itself, Jim Harbaugh brought in Derek Jeter, who streamed the whole thing on the Players Tribune. He brought in Tom Brady, and he brought in Ric Flair. And they were all there to just give. It was like a pep assembly. It was a pep rally on steroids.
The thing that I think is a little misleading about National Signing Day is every single year Notre Dame's in the top 10. Right. Well, Notre Dame had a pretty good season this year, but they have not had a pretty good season every single year that they're in the top 10 in recruiting. So what does top 10 in recruiting even mean if it doesn't equate to wins, right? In the top 10 this year is Texas. Texas was awful last year.
Right. Obviously, you're right. Recruiting, it matters to an extent, but to what extent? Because you're right. Like there's teams like Texas and Notre Dame who always have good recruiting classes, and they underperform, except for a year here or there.
Right.
But Alabama always brings in a big recruiting class. They're always good. So it's like the Iowa caucus, Fred. It counts, but to what extent? It's hard to measure that.
Super Bowl XL, your Super Bowl MVP was Hines Ward. You remember old Hines Ward?
I remember him on the Steelers. I don't remember him coming out of high school.
Yeah, well, and no one else does either, because he was a quarterback who went to Georgia in '94. He didn't even play wide receiver.
Hold on. That reminds I have to Google which college, but there was a story that came across that said that there were two colleges that recruited Cam Newton as a tight end. And it's like, well, that was a miscalculation. I mean, I'm sure he would have been a great tight end, but
he would excel at anything he wanted. And that's the same story. There's a similar story for almost every single quarterback that comes out. Almost every single quarterback who goes to a Division I football school could, if they want, and I'm not talking a lot of money, but I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars, sign minor league contract baseball deals. Almost all these guys. So whenever a Peyton Manning comes out and he wants to play at Tennessee, and he's the ranked number 1 by Rivals.com, and he's the elite quarterback of all ratings in high school. Well, for sure he could have got $1 million deal to go sit in someone's farm system and play baseball. Like these guys are talented athletes and they can play multiple sports and multiple positions.
By the way, it was Georgia. Georgia recruited Cam Newton as a tight end, and obviously he did not go with them. But yeah, you're right, Fred. And you got to wonder why these guys who could have played Major League Baseball decide to stick with football, which number one, it's a longer route to a big payday. Number two, I haven't looked into the numbers, but I would bet money that the average career expectancy of a baseball player is much longer than that of a football player.
Oh, it's not even close. It's an exponent of that.
Yeah. But talking about Cam Newton in college, there's been a lot of when the show, when like ESPN and all these shows, they take a break from saying how great it would be to see Peyton Manning right off into the sunset. They've been doing profiles on Cam Newton, and most of them have been positive. But of course, they touch on the problems that he had in college. Right at Florida, he was Tim Tebow's backup. There was some laptop theft scandal that got him kicked off the team, and then he had to go to junior college, work his way back up to Auburn, where there were some pay for play allegations.
Well, and those allegations were actually at Mississippi State.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, his dad was trying to sell him to Mississippi State for
allegedly.
Allegedly for $180,000 or something. I think that was the exact number. And instead, obviously, he went to Auburn, where he won a national championship.
I thought, and I guess I'd have to brush up. I thought that wasn't there allegations of pay for play at Auburn as well, or no?
More than likely, I think there were. But I think they were after the fact. I think he dodged the bullet of Mississippi State during that, that amazing season he had. But then after the fact, like I said, I think it came out of the woodwork. But of either of them, nothing came to fruition. There was no sort of proof or validity.
Well, and I got to be honest with you, Fred. If it turns out that yes, Auburn paid Cam Newton's dad, because it was Cam Newton's dad who was allegedly getting paid.
Right.
If these pay for play allegations turned out to be true, I don't think it would matter to me, because I think Cam Newton has done such a good job of rehabilitating his image that you really can believe that all that knucklehead stuff was in the past.
Yeah, I agree completely. And the stuff he's done now, like his philanthropy and his charitable donations, he's up there at the top as far as, or it's guys that at least I believe, give a heck.
Right.
And I think something that's real interesting about is specifically the kids coming out today, because I have a day job where I work with a lot of youth, and we've talked about this before in the past, where monetary gains they don't have the same sort of draw that they had whenever I was, 15 years ago. But what kids do like now is they like attention, and they like spectacle, and they like interpersonal relationships. So I want you to follow me down this road real quick.
Yeah.
The Jim Harbaugh situation you just talked.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, the Jim Harbaugh situation you just talked about in Michigan. No, he didn't flat out give cash to anyone. That did not happen. But what he did do is he gave them attention, and he gave them Twitter followers, and he gave them the pub that they so wholeheartedly desire and yearn for. And I don't quite understand why. I'm old man slow right now. I don't get the draw. And that's coming from a guy who for years has hosted a podcast and an internet radio show and loves attention. But my number of followers is not me. But it absolutely is to a child, and not a child, to a young adult who's aspiring to make a name for themselves. And that's the only way they know how to make a name. Now, with Jim Harbaugh, he did some really cool things, right? So he brings in those recruits, and they do like a fundraiser, and I think they raised like $100,000 for like the Chad Tuff Foundation, which is not, I'm not batting an eye at that. Anytime you can help someone and create an event, good.
Mm-hmm.
But are you at a little bit at the expense of the student athlete using them, or is that kind of use exactly what they're yearning for, and it has now become more valuable than the monetary gains?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think that they're really being used, because they're probably using the event themselves for the notoriety.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was getting at earlier. You know, you and I, you know, we're old enough now that we're from a different era than the kids coming out of high school.
Yes.
Right? It's been over a decade. Right. So it may look funny to us, but you know, if what you say is true, then I think Jim Harbaugh demonstrated a very astute understanding of human nature and what makes the kids coming out of high school tick. And you know, us as old guys can say, "Oh, this is ridiculous," but it doesn't matter. Jim Harbaugh's not worrying about looking like an idiot to the rest of the nation, which he doesn't. But he's not worried about what other people think. He's worried about going out and getting those kids and bringing them to Michigan.
There's something to be said about being ahead of the curve, and we were just talking about Mark Cuban last segment. Jim Harbaugh is ahead of the curve, right? So what he did this year, and he did it with the biggest splash, right? We were just making fun a little bit. He was hanging out with recruits, and he was making that connection. I assure you, next year that every single college is going to have this exact same approach.
Right.
And hey, Derek Jeter's a cool Michigan athlete. He's from Michigan.
Well, the bar's been raised.
The bar not just raised, but set, in my opinion, because next year, whenever Stanford, for instance, goes on their recruiting binge, they're going to bring in just the top flight Northern California celebrities for an exact same approach. And it's going to become an even bigger spectacle than it is today, to where it might end up being, as regulated by the NCAA, some sort of like communal event where maybe they bring in all the guys and put them in one spot and just do something to where there's no sort of infringement on anything. But like I said, because Harbaugh was able to infuse a charity with a lot of money, I'm an endorser of it. I love it, but it's going to set a precedent that is going to be very difficult to compete with.
Right, because as I was talking about, that kid 10 years ago on TV with the table, and there's 4 hats in front of them, you know, that was this bar. And then someone, you know what, I'm going to do something even crazier next time. So it inches up, to all of a sudden you have, he brought in Lou Holtz for some reason. I have no idea what Lou Holtz was doing at a Michigan event, but Jim Harbaugh and Lou Holtz were dabbing while the Nature Boy is sitting there wooing away. We kind of got to that point from there just by incrementally raising the bar.
Well, the value of, and make sure I got this right, I think his name was Kingston Davis, I'm not 100% sure, but the value to Kingston Davis, the recruit that Holtz and Harbaugh dabbed with, that is a profile picture on Twitter for the next 10 years is worth far more than $50,000.
Fred Slow, master of psychology. Scary thing is, I believe him. I think he's absolutely right. It's the weigh-in. 590 and 590thefan.com. No, we haven't even talked about John Scott yet.
Is that where you were trying to go with that?
What's that? To John Scott? No.
I mean, with the bar being raised and all that kind of shit.
No, not really. It just no. Oh, no. That's not where. That's not really where I was going with it.
You were just gonna make fun of it, right?
Not really. I was gonna. I don't know. I felt like I didn't set that up as gracefully as I would have liked to, but No, I was going to say, I think it's stupid, but it's necessary, which, I think I said in so many words.
Kids reward themselves differently today, man.
Yeah, they really do. Well, it's weird too, because even when I'm talking to like kids who are like 18 or 19, it's like I can't talk to them as easily as I used to, just because they're different generation.
I got a handful of kids in my day job, and a handful that I like. I mean, I have like 100 of them, but I have a handful that I give a real shit about.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them called me today, and she had like a job lined up and it didn't work out for her or whatever. And so she's like, hey, can you help me out? Can you do whatever? And I'm like, yeah, kid, come in tomorrow. We'll figure something out. I was like, I'll do whatever I can to help you. I give a shit about you. She goes, I give a shit about you too. And I think that, like, that thing, like that little connection to her, like someone telling her they give a shit about her, is so much more important to her than like the fucking minimum wage I give her.
Right.
Like, she's not coming to work for minimum wage because she wants to work for minimum wage.
Right.
She's coming to work with me because she gives a shit about me. And there's something about that that's like just fucking rewarding, man. Like, fulfilling. That's the word I wanted.
Yeah. You know what? I did something for the Chad Tuff Foundation, actually. It's probably one of my favorite production pieces I've ever done.
I'm not certain that's the Lloyd Carr stuff, right?
It is. Unfortunately it's his grandson.
It was like a brain tumor, is that right?
Yeah. And it looked like he was gonna beat it for a while, but I remember there was this there were these kids, they have like a show on cable or something where it's like a kid's show. They're brothers and sisters and they sing songs and go on adventures and stuff. But
sure.
They're from Michigan, and they wanted to do a song for the Chad Tuff Foundation. And the guy I work with, the guy who runs board, he was Michigan's football announcer for like 40 years.
Oh, okay.
So they asked him if he would record a touchdown call where Chad was running the ball, and
cool.
He faked out the Green Goblin and all these villains.
Yeah.
And then he said, hey, so he said, just put some sound effects behind it, make it sound like it's at a football game. And I haven't been to a Michigan game in years, but what I remember from Michigan games is that the way the crowd noise seemed to come out of the bowl stadium, like because I remember every time I'd go get a snack or go to the bathroom, you would hear it was when like a touchdown was scored. It was just the luck I had. So when you're outside, it was like it's like a big spike and down. So I spent about an hour with a bunch of different sound effects trying to get that. And then I was like, then I gotta like gradually get the crowd noise up as he. So and it turned out really well. And because you're doing for a kid who's really sick, so you really want to do a good job of it. And I should find that I've done more complex stuff that probably sounds better, but like I really worked hard on that. It's probably one of my favorite production pieces.
Well, shit, man. It's the stuff you do with a purpose. Like some of the best produced work we've done is is dick and fart jokes. Well, okay, right. But like that didn't help anyone. But like I was telling you, I was helping put that stuff together for this play the other day, and all the actors in the play are recovering narcotics abusers. So it's like an outlet for them.
Sure.
Like it's part of like their steps or whatever to get. And I'm thinking like, fuck, I am helping some people. Like, yeah. And I didn't realize how much I yearned for that, man, until I started getting a taste of it.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's
I'm gay. I'm fucking gay, dude. I'm the gayest dude.
Yeah, but you know what? You were gay before that, so I mean, this doesn't make you any more or less gay.
I got a good angle on John Scott. I don't know what your angle is, but mine's good.
Okay. Well, I'll throw out my angle, then you can throw out your angle, and we're gonna make this 8 minutes for real.
Okay.
This is our last segment too. This is our fourth segment.
Let me do one quick shout out. It'll be 10 seconds, and we don't even have to talk about it.
Okay, great.
Cool.
All right, hold on.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
Got him!
Weightinradio.com.
Welcome back to the weigh-in. Segment 4? God, where's the time go, Mike?
It just gets sucked into a black hole with the two of us.
Just get sucked into a black hole. Hey, big shout out real quick before we move on to John Scott, because I got a point here I want to make. My very good friend Nadine Schroeder, she's the assistant AD and annual fund and ticketing. She's the assistant AD over at SIUE. Earlier this week, I went to a breast cancer awareness fundraiser with her over at the DoubleTree by Hilton in Collinsville, right outside the campus. A lot of fundraising, a lot of fun. They had a guest speaker. It was just outstanding, man. So shout out to her and SIUE, especially the women's basketball team. I think they're 9-1 or 10-1 in conference, and they are well on their way. So good job there. And if you get any chance, Susan G. Komen Foundation, I know they catch a lot of bad press. They waste their money. You know what? It's ran like a business. Okay, they pay their administrators. They know where all their money's going, and they move a lot of money to help people. It's not wasted money. It's efforted money, and I was able to support that a little bit, and I was very happy and pleased to do it. So good job, Southern Illinois University.
So it was a big day for you, big day for them, big day for the charity.
Yeah.
Last Sunday, big day for John Scott, and I feel like it should be a big day for John Scott, but not a big day for the NHL, which it seemed like it was kind of marketed as that. Number one, it was a tale of two All-Star games, right? There was the NHL All-Star game, and then there was the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl, nobody cared about. Ratings were in the toilet. NHL All-Star game, their ratings went up quite a bit, and I'm convinced that it was all due to John Scott, who the NHL tried to bully out of going to the All-Star game, to the point where they may or may not have orchestrated a trade not only across the country, across two countries, called the guy up, tried to guilt him using his kids, until the public backlash got so heavy that they said, fine, go ahead and play in the game. He was embraced by not only the fans who were trolling him at first, he was embraced by the other players, and then he was embraced by the NHL. And it's like, NHL, no, you can't do that. This is a giant in your face to you. This is not you taking credit for something you went out of the way to try to prevent from happening in the first place.
Real quick, and I don't want there to be any misconceptions. The Pro Bowl did draw 11.7 million viewers. Like, that's down by NFL standards, but that's still more viewers than Game 7 of the NBA Finals. The Pro Bowl does all right. But yeah,
Fred,
no, I agree.
Please stop letting facts get in the way of my stories, please. I hate when you do that.
Okay, so the NHL All-Star game, which I've watched zero puck all year. I'm not a hockey guy, but yeah, they did draw like 8.5 million viewers, which is the most they've had in a significantly long time. I think you're right about John Scott, and here's why I think you're right. He overcame it all. He took a story that could have gone down, but it could have gone left. It could have gone left hard, and he was able to turn that and make it into a success piece. But I got beef, Mike. I have a problem.
What?
We're a week after the event, and you know what I'm hearing already? I'm seeing on the social media? Who's the next John Scott? They're already planning this again for next year. And who is they? The proverbial they. Like, it's already started, man. So John Scott to them was not a guy who deserved to be in an All-Star game because he'd been in the league forever and a guy who earned this. But he was a spectacle, just like signing day, and the fans are already trying to choose a new one. Good luck, Sean Thornton of the Carolina, Florida Panthers. Yeah. Figure it out.
Well, I think John Scott proved that he belonged in the All-Star game just by the way he handled the situation, right? The big push to get John Scott in there was by a bunch of bonehead fans who said, let's think of someone who doesn't belong in the All-Star game based on their stats and their ability. And like we said, it started off as a troll job, but he handled it with such class, and he got everyone, he turned face better than anyone has ever turned face. But you're right, Fred. There's not going to be another John Scott. Do you know why? Because
you're going to change it.
And the thing is, John Scott was John Scott because this was such a unique circumstance, right? And because fan voting has never gone that haywire. It almost did for the baseball All-Star game when it looked like it was going to be the Kansas City Royals. But yeah, John Scott was a guy who everyone was laughing at, and he managed to turn everyone in his favor. It was organic. It was spontaneous because John Scott made the best out of a bad situation. If you do it every year, it's just going to become stupid.
I understand what you're saying, but hear me out. Every single team is going to want a John Scott now. And every single team is going to, either through their fan base or even maybe through like professional promotion, they're going to say, we want our third line back up forward to get into the All-Star game. So let's use the Blues, for example. They're going to say, hey, we need to get Ryan Reeves into the All-Star game, who's, a career enforcer. So there's going to be a push on social media for this guy. And that's going to happen for every single team in the league. And it's going to bring attention to the All-Star game, which is going to be good for the NHL. They deserve that. But the competition that's made out of it, they have to capitalize off of. So if the NHL doesn't create like a enforcer only playing something, a skills competition or a coin flip if we're in Iowa, if they don't do that, then they're really missing the boat. Because I'm telling you, man, being the next John Scott is going to be more important than being Mr. Irrelevant in the NFL. Well,
Fred, I'm not disagreeing with you that they're not going to try to make it happen. I'm just saying, even if somebody like a John Scott is voted in, it's not going to be another John Scott situation. It's not going to capture the imaginations of the fans because it's been done before. I'm agreeing with you. I think people are going to try. People are going to try to do it, and they'll probably succeed in getting some, enforcer with no offensive numbers in the All-Star game. But that person's not going to handle the situation with such class, and they're not going to be able to turn it into such a positive as John Scott did.
Just say it, Mike. I know you want to. John Scott is the Jackie Robinson of the NHL. Say it.
No, I'm not going to say that, actually, because that makes absolutely no sense. Oh, boy, am I glad to hear that sounder. Woo! When I wake up in the morning. Okay, so, oh yeah, by the way, there's a big game going on tonight. I say go Panthers. The Broncos bore the crap out of me.
See, and I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to say Broncos are going to pull it out 23-20, and Peyton Manning is going to win the MVP, and he is at that time going to not make a decision on if he retires or not.
I cannot wait to watch Peyton Manning manage the game clock tonight. When I think of exciting football, I think of Peyton Manning, game manager.
Peyton Manning, Super Bowl champ.
Peyton Manning, kill the clock. 590 The Fan, 590thefan.com, WayneRadio.com. We'll be back next week. Bye.
See ya.
And we're clear.
Good job, man.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I felt like I got a little lost in those middle two segments at times, but I felt our first and our last segments were pretty strong.
I mean, yeah, just didn't. Hey, leave them one and more. That's what I say, Mike.
That's right.
Yeah. We don't put it all on the table. I was just talking. Here I go. Sound like.